Jay Grimes, by the way, cares deeply about you folks. He is the Director of Federal Affairs over at OOIDA, and he, like regular recurring reconstituted road gang founding member Colin Long, joins us from time to time here on Washington Trucking Week. I want to just say, though, Jay, from a baseball standpoint, I know you're hurting, but you know about my Mariners, right, man? Just win, baby. Win and get across that finish line. We're having a pretty darn good week, current moments disincluded. It's been pretty good for us. How you doing, man?
Hey, doing well. Yeah, we got a big series there between the Mariners and Astros that might settle that AL West, and always fun here as we wrap up the baseball season and then get ready to head into October.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, that series, if anybody sweeps that series, you know what ends up happening, right? A sweep in that series pretty much ends it because that shifts the magic number by 6. That's a combination of 3 wins and 3 losses by one team. That could slam the door on somebody. But by the way, just to let people know, the Mariners are playing the Royals. They're playing the Royals. Just letting people out there know. Just let them know. Okay, Jay, what's going on? Happy Truck Driver Appreciation Week. You guys have a lot of stuff going on, don't you?
Oh, yes, sir. And everything's going well on that front. I had the privilege of making an early morning drive myself earlier this week, not quite as far from New Orleans to Nashville, but from Washington, D.C. up to Cranberry, New Jersey, to join Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy, along with quite a few drivers that were able to attend at the Molly Pitcher Service Plaza right off the New Jersey Turnpike, about a half hour south of Newark. Really had a wonderful time with a lot of DOT folks, a lot of FMCSA folks, really showing their gratitude, taking time to meet with drivers, listening to their concerns, and also heard some more good news from DOT, but it was a great opportunity to meet with the Secretary. OOIDA President Todd Spencer made the trip from Kansas City and really conveyed a lot from what we're hearing from our members who couldn't attend, and really what the priorities are for small business men and women who are making their living behind the wheel.
I have to ask the question in regards to being on the move. Did you and Todd go up together from Washington, D.C., or did he meet you in Cranberry?
So Todd flew in to Cranberry. We did not drive up together, but we drove back to D.C. together to take care of some more business down here the last few days inside the Beltway.
Nicely done, by the way. And that's in case you guys don't know, making that trip is about a 3 hour and 15 minute to 3.5 hour drive, depending upon what the corridor looks like at any moment in time. Yeah. It's always kind of fun to remember. People always forget, all those Westerners forget how close all that stuff actually is. Like, even Dave had to be reminded of that flying into Baltimore was the best and cheapest flight to get to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Talk about, because in many ways, the DOT secretary previewed some stuff, some big stuff coming, but there's been some new initiatives at least launched this week as well too, and much of it is near and dear to our hearts over here because so much of what Dave has been doing and what Todd has been doing their entire life is worried not just about the bottom line, but the hearts and the bodies of the men and women who drive.
Yeah, so on Monday, the Secretary officially announced the release and the kind of upcoming notice of 2 critical hours of service pilot programs, a couple that we've been working on for quite a while, related to split sleeper berths, and one that's called a split duty provision, a 3-hour pause, up to a 3-hour pause, allowing drivers to kind of put a break on their hours of service clock once per day, from 30 minutes up to 3 hours. We had heard that DOT was going to be moving forward with these back in that major pro-trucker package that was announced at the end of June, I believe. But now we've got some more formal text, how these are going to be administered, and more of an official timeline. And we've got public notices that have been released this week, really kind of going through the details. And they're going to have a 60-day public comment period for drivers and industry to to submit feedback on how these pilot programs can be best set up, be best established to kind of provide the data that DOT would need to kind of consider some more permanent changes to the hours of service regulation. So welcome this announcement and hopefully looking forward to get this pilot program up and moving to where, drivers can, work with DOT and provide some data and see how these things could work in practice. And I think our hope is that a year from now, 2 years from now, that there's going to be more permanent flexibility finalized based on some of the data that's going to be coming out of this, both these pilot programs that hopefully can get underway sometime next year.
Wait, Jay, I'm going to ask this slowly. I'm not being a jerk. I'm going to ask this slowly because I want to see if what I heard and what I've been reading is true. Are you telling me that they might finally use the ELD in a way that would benefit truckers?
Yes. Cover your ears there. But we've kind of seen some of this. Hopefully, we've got an ongoing study that's in the process right now on detention time, trying to really pinpoint how much time is wasted when drivers are unloading and loading there. Kind of a silver lining, I guess, is the best way to put it on ELDs. Is, as we know, it can track data pretty well for the most part, and that's going to be one of the requirements here in this pilot program to assist DOT in kind of gathering a whole bunch of information that they can kind of, initiate a more formal rulemaking process. They're going to have over 250 drivers in each of these pilot programs. The data collection period is going to be about 4 months long. So I think that's a pretty quick process in terms of trying to develop and gather the data, and to help them accomplish that. ELD is going to be one part of that. So, it's kind of good news, bad news there, but it's going to be important to really help in, using the ELD, the necessary evil here to create more flexibility. But that's kind of bring up, if we didn't have some of these ELDs in the first place, we might not need some of these pilot programs anyway, but that's where we are right now. So we're going to make the most of it.
I'm going to actually make your day, Jay. I have a theory that the best way that we can go about getting rid of the ELD is really use it if we can really show that it benefits the truckers, that if it really benefits the individual drivers, really benefits them, don't worry, the industry will step in and get rid of them. I'm just saying.
Knock on wood there.
That if we can actually somehow create an ELD that actually gives our friends out there on the road real leverage to help them with their rates, to help them put some real pressure on the people around them, at that point they'll be like, you know what, we need to go back to old school. We don't need this anymore. We got to get rid of this right now. That's always the big moment when you kind of play jujitsu with people. It would be ironic, by the way, if the very thing that has caused all the problems ends up being the thing that kind of, turns the tide, maybe even against them ultimately. But then again, I'm Mr. Rourke. I'm your host, and welcome to Fantasy Island. Jay Grimes joins us this morning. Okay, so one of the things I want to make sure that we talk about here as well is that, it is National Truck Driver Appreciation Week. Our good friend Marty Ellis actually is over at Hubbard, Ohio at Truck World saying thank you to everybody out there. But I want to make sure that people understand, and we can talk more about the sleeper pilot stuff as well too. Can we talk, though, a little bit about all the other stuff that's going on? Because there's a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of handshakes, a lot of congratulatory stuff. But the work goes on, does it not?
No question. And, for us at OOIDA Trucker Appreciation, it's a 24/7, 365 opportunity. And I think thanks to a lot of the groundwork that has been set up for decades in terms of what we've been pushing in Washington, from the grassroots advocacy work our members have done, not only here in Washington, but in their districts, when they're on the road around the country, meeting with lawmakers. We are starting to see some fruits of that labor coming to pass. kind of in the short term so far this year, we've had a number of announcements from DOT, from other government agencies. I know EPA is working on a lot of reforms as well, hand in hand with DOT. Really kind of dating back to the early days of the administration. I think they heard from a lot of drivers about the importance of restoring English language proficiency back into the out-of-service criteria. And it wasn't too long after that, at the end of April, President Trump issued an executive order to accomplish that. And working with CVSA, working with FMCSA, that has happened since June 25th. English language proficiency is now, should be, if it's enforced properly, result in an out. If you got a violation, should result in an out of service order. DOT, FMCSA, I think, still working with many states on how to best enforce that, how to best accomplish that. We've been echoing, enforcement's a great start, but we really need some more teeth up front in terms of, the licensing stages, the training stages, to make sure that when drivers are getting their CDL, that we know that they can, read highway signs accurately, converse with law enforcement officials, converse with other drivers on the road in a sufficient manner. We're working on that. FMCSA, DOT is working on that. Same time, they're also conducting a nationwide audit into non-domiciled CDLs. And another critical part of that executive order was improving the working conditions of drivers. Seen a couple actions with that pro-trucker package. Just a couple weeks ago, a major data queue reform proposal that was closed for public comments. DOT is now going to be reviewing the hundreds of comments they received on that to make data queue a more transparent, more equitable, more fair review process for motor carriers and drivers who are challenging violations. Now we've got this hours of service pilot programs that are going to be launched, and I know there's more coming as well.
And by the way, I've been talking about the proficiency angle from a different sort of approach. A lot of people are focused on what it means for their bottom line. What I think it does is that it actually opens up cultural possibilities. That, one of the things about learning a language is you're not just learning a language, but one of my favorite things, I don't know if you know this, Jay, my volunteer time, both in the city of New Orleans and over in California, was spent actually helping green card immigrants who are actually on the proper naturalization path, often be able to pass their citizenship test for English, to be able to become American citizens. And one of my favorite classroom lessons was we would get to slang and idioms, American idioms. Hit the blanket, hit the bricks, tell your story walking. We'd go in the positive idioms and the negative idioms and all that kind of stuff. And Dean was on earlier talking about this. It was so terrific. The idea of knowing not to linger in a fuel island, knowing not to bring Eastern European driving approaches into the American workplace, and that knowing English is a big step towards creating a safer driver. It also forces the hand of a lot of CDL mills, because it means they just can't churn and burn because they can get traced back to. Do you feel comfortable talking about that magnificent, interesting proposal that your own members made for how to have a CDL, how to have an English proficiency card available to show the inspectors at the side of the road? I mean, I thought that was breathtaking and generous in its scope in regards to making sure that English was always spoken and spoken proficiently on the highways and byways without being punitive, at the same time understanding the urgency of it. Do you feel comfortable talking about that?
Definitely, and this is one solution that one of our members has petitioned DOT and FMCSA to better address English language proficiency. And her kind of concept, along with some drivers that she's been working with on this for quite a while, is that when you're getting your license, you have to get an English language proficiency endorsement, similar to the fashion you would get a hazmat or a school bus endorsement. That this would be something that you go through in the licensing phase when you're renewing your license, potentially as well. that you can go in, get signed off on your endorsement, and then if you are pulled over roadside, you've got that endorsement on your license to say you're good to go. So that, I think that would be, in one way, would be very helpful. We're hoping that DOT is going to open up that petition for public comment to kind of see what the feedback would be and how that could be best implemented. So we're really at a critical time where this is a major priority for regulators here in Washington. They've got to do a better job of working with these different states as well, because the states are the folks that are administering the CDLs, and unfortunately, in many cases, all too often right now, these non-domiciled CDLs, which we don't think are being conducted in the same oversight that your traditional CDL is being administered in. So that's one idea that's been proposed. I know there's been some legislation that's now introduced by quite a few members of Congress with some different ideas as well. So I think we're having some really substantive conversations, and DOT is going to have a lot to work with to really, I think, have a long-term solution for improving English language proficiency, make sure folks who are entering the industry, who are applying for their license, can get certified in a proper, comprehensive manner. So we're having safe folks enter the industry, stay in the industry, and that's going to result in improved highway safety across the board. So that conversation continues, and it's, again, a really critical juncture. I've got to mention a Brazilian driver who was at the event in New Jersey talking face-to-face with Secretary Duffy about the time and the effort that he put into learning the language and the benefits that's paid off for him in his years as a driver now. So the stories are starting to be told. We need more significant regulations on the books to ensure proficiency, safety, better training all around, and improving that barrier to entry for the commercial trucking industry.
Yeah, and by the way, like I said, it's a good look for the administration. One of the things that really would go a long way to kind of proving that what it's really invested in is not so much punitive measures and kicking people in the ass, although there are people who really enjoy that. It really is about proving that they're invested in the people who are here, who are from here, who have moved here and played by the rules, and really showing them that the care and concern is for them and not so much of sticking it to people, but taking care of the people who were already out there making it happen. And by the way, let me tell you something right now. There are a lot of people at the CVTA and a lot of people at the National Association of Publicly Funded Truck Driving Schools who are delighted by a lot of these developments as well, too, because it means a lot of those programs, those 8-week training programs, those trade school training programs, those in-depth, some of the carriers have incredibly in-depth training programs. It means they are the beneficiaries, because at the end of the day, I've been thinking about the way to kind of put this. What the industry needs is more retainable drivers. It doesn't need more drivers. It needs more retainable drivers. And that means both the industry taking care of people so they want to stick around, but also training people who are able to stick around. How'd I do?
I think pretty well. And I am going to challenge you on the retainable drivers. I think we've got plenty of drivers ready and waiting. We got to improve the working conditions that makes them want to stay in once they get in. And that's kind of been, an all hands deck on approach from initial licensing and training. And so they know what they're getting into. They know how to handle the challenges of being on the road. But we've also got to make it a more rewarding career once they, start driving. Also going to shout out CVTA as well. They were in attendance up in Cranberry earlier this week, and we're working with them on this issue as well.
Yeah, and it's like I said, and I think you and I actually agree here, because like I said, if you create, the more retainable drivers you create and the less CDL mills people are out there creating, they crack down on that, it means that the people who are coming in, if we can keep educating drivers who come in to understand their value and worth as opposed to feeling like, oh, you're lucky to have a job, if we can actually teach the next generation, oh, no, you have some leverage here. You're a high-skilled player in the modern in the modern economy, and you are worth every nickel they pay you and a whole lot more, and you deserve not to be retained. I think that's such an important thing. Jay, okay, so when we get out of this week of when the bells and whistles and the parades have died down and the confetti gets swept off the roads, what's going on next week? What's back to work look like?
Well, we're not done with this week. I do have a little bit of breaking news. Congresswoman Julia Brownley has introduced a bill that would prohibit these predatory lease purchase scams that we've seen victimize folks who, again, want to get into the industry, have a dream of eventually, owning their own truck, being their own boss, being an owner-operator, but get screwed by the fine print in these lease purchase agreements from predatory motor carriers, predatory financial groups, and they never end up in debt, never have any chance of buying back the truck. So that legislation has been introduced. It's H.R. 5423. Call your lawmakers on that. We'll be sending out some more information. Also, DOT has announced a request for information on cargo theft this morning. That's going to be out there. Looking forward to next week, kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty on congressional funding, seeing if they're going to get a buzzword here, Jimmy. I know you've talked about this for years, a short-term continuing resolution. House and Senate is looking
Oh, my
on that.
God. I thought I'd escaped it. It's back.
Nominations moving through on the Senate side. I think we're going to get the nominees for the Federal Highway Administration, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the Pipeline Agency get done today. Still waiting on Derek Bars at FMCSA, but that should be coming around the corner here, too, in the next few weeks also.
We're all going to keep our fingers crossed, by the way. Everybody agrees that the man should be the one who actually gets a chance to make the plans. But, of course, that crazy thing called Washington, D.C. and politics, as always, gets in the way. Jay Grimes never gets in the way here. We love having him on, especially during National Truck Driver Appreciation Week. And you said you got a few more things to do. What other events are you attending? You talk about all this breaking news stuff, but where else you going? Where are you headed?
Oh, well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be making the trip out this year, but OOIDA is certainly going to have a big presence out at the Guilty by Association Truck Show, which is going to be kicking off next Thursday out in Joplin, Missouri. This is just a wonderful event. If you ever have had the chance to be there, we do this in partnership with Brian Martin, his brother, and everyone at the Four States Truck Shop, the Chrome Shop Mafia out there in Joplin, really a 3-day. This is really going to be a continuation of Truck Driver Appreciation Week, really celebrating drivers. It's a mix of a really cool truck show, a little bit of a county fair feel, all sorts of fun events, family friendly at the shop, at the Joplin Petro there, TA, the truck stop. Just a great 3 days. We'll have Marty and the Spirit Truck out there as well. I think FMCSA is going to be making the trip to talk and hear more from drivers too. So that's going to be next week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday out in Joplin, Missouri.
By the way, if you guys want to hear more Jay, you can actually check him out on Trucking with OOIDA. He will be on with Scott and Ashley today, discussing more in depth the conversation that was happening over in Cranberry. He's the Director of Federal Affairs. He has all the details. They will continue on Trucking with OOIDA. They're also going to be talking to OOIDA board member Harry Smith on his lifelong love of trucking, which, as you guys are going to find out, runs both in the family and in his blood. And, of course, it runs in Jay's blood as well. Thank you, my Baltimore Oriole friend.
Beautiful. Go Mariners.